Hey everyone. Okay, I want to talk about I wasn't even planning on doing a live today, but I saw something on Instagram while I was scrolling through yesterday by someone who had the best of intentions, clearly. And it kind of made me go, ugh, this is the problem. Well intentioned or good intentions, but misunderstanding of why just focusing on extra practice and repetition can be detrimental. So there was this meme and it said, repetition builds connections. It's that simple. That's all you have to do. And it's too bad that it wasn't that simple. But if there's anything worse than not doing anything, it's doing the wrong practice. So let me know in the comments if you've ever tried to learn something and then you've learned it the wrong way and now you have to unlearn it. Or maybe that's happened with your child, whether it's a word that you or your child, spelled and then misspelled, or whether it's, I remember whenever I was learning to play the guitar, I learned how to do a chord wrong, and then I had to try to unlearn that. Oh man, what a pain that takes, right? And research has shown it actually takes more effort to unlearn something than to just learn it correctly. So I wanted to talk about this because we want to really be cautious of not reinforcing more of what we don't want. And so it is true that practice makes perfect when we have the right connections in place. Whenever we have, the good brain organization, so to speak, repetition of bad habits is going to reinforce that connection. And a lot of our kids, what happens is that they either develop compensations that they aren't even aware of that they're doing. I pick up on this all the time when I'm screening or working with kids, or they have been taught these compensations. And what can happen is these compensations might work for a little while. And I see this a lot with kids who struggle with reading or writing, and they can get away with it in grade, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5. But as they get into those, grade 6, 7, 8, and up, all of a sudden those compensations are just not going to work anymore. Even like I see that with math as well. Someone who has dyscalculia, has poor math skills, and then all of a sudden they are trying to do the counting on your fingers and they're like in grade 9. Good luck with that. Right? So we have to be aware of, we want to build the right connections in the first place. And yes, repetition is important, but it is not the answer. And that's the problem with a lot of traditional approaches to when a kid has a reading difficulty, is they just need to practice, 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 and somehow they'll get it. Well, if you, for example, are playing a sport, like say volleyball, and you're not serving properly, like you don't have the right, posture, and you're not hitting with the right side of your hand, or whatever the case may be, it doesn't matter how many times you practice that, you're not going to get it right until you either figure it out or someone shows you how to serve correctly. So this is where, like, the thing that parents dread happens, where kids call themselves stupid. They say, I'm dumb. They're discouraged. They are unmotivated. And they have been, because they have been practicing their little hearts out and they're not seeing the results. And everyone's saying practice makes perfect. Anyone can learn anything with practice. Well, no, not if the connections are not there. So that's why we have to be cautious of top-down approaches. So meaning starting with academic skills when the lower brain levels are not developed first. And that's what I see with a lot of like kids who are in just, extra practice, whether it's programs or tutoring and so forth, and those lower brain levels are not in place first. We don't want to create more them to rely on more compensations and so forth. And that's what I see a lot of, is they just end up with more compensations for every hour of extra practice that they're doing, instead of doing these bottom up approaches and so forth. So the bottom line is that wrong action equals minimal progress. And when we're doing that, the other thing that happens is not just for the kids in terms of the impact of their self-esteem, but that's like tons of time in years, money for the parents, energy for both kids and parents, resources, driving here, driving there, going to the specialist and so forth. When we have to start with, number one, the biology of learning. So making sure the brain has the raw materials. And number two, making sure the brain has the connections to be able to make that connection stronger with the extra practice. So we can't practice a connection that is not there. And ultimately, when we start creating those connections, this is how kids can learn more easily and more confidently. So all in all, If you haven't grabbed my laser focused learner starter kit, I'll put the link for that in the comments below. I do have a free training coming up at the end of July, or end of June, I should say, June 30th, 12 p.m. noon, on basically exercises, things you can do in the summer. So ways to create a better brain during the summer, because that slump can happen, right? Where the first 2 weeks you're like, yes, I have the summer with my kids. And then by the end of the summer, everyone is just ready to pull their hair out because they're exhausted and overwhelmed, and there's lack of structure, and there's still these issues. And now you're going into the school year, and there's like another year of all of these difficulties and so forth. So I'll put the sign up link for that in the comments below. And if you want to book a free clarity call to learn more about my program, Full Potential Formula, you can do that by booking a free clarity call. Link will be in the comments as well. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.